that side door right there. Thank y'all so much again, I appreciate it. Of course, this is our work session, and like I said, we're pretty informal, our new business discussion. Today, we'll start off with our district line revision. Ms. Stephanie, I was trying to figure out on that map if we were all in our district, but I couldn't see it even on the one that's online. But I know we have a smaller one up here. That's my main concern, if we're all in our district.
What do you mean by all in the district?
Like when we we draw the lines, do I land still in District 2? Is he still in District?
Yes. Well, you proceed, yes.
That's what I'm saying, on
Yeah.
on that revision that he showed us, are we all in there?
Yes.
Okay.
So, y'all certainly have the option to go with his proposal or make any adjustments as you see fit. I just need direction from you all, which direction.
I mean, I'm okay with the proposal that he has, as long as we're all in. I think you all still need a little more time to look at that.
If possible. Do we have the final population numbers for them?
Defined by population?
So the final population, like I know some of the reason we're moving is because the populations weren't even. And we had them, but they changed it again. So do we have the new numbers?
The numbers that you have that I gave you at the last work session were the current numbers.
So it hadn't changed since then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was another revision.
That's our current population numbers, and that's where we were too low or high. But in the revisions, those numbers are different, right?
The proposed revision,
Right,
yes.
right.
The proposed revision will put you within the range you need to be.
Right. That's what I thought. So that's current numbers.
That
Yeah,
tells,
well, I'm asking to see what they're gonna be with after. Do we have those numbers?
That small map you had, didn't have the numbers that were changing.
yeah, I don't have a copy of that with me when I gave it to y'all.
Let me go upstairs, I got mine.
If it's only, if it hadn't changed since
After the
what
work
you gave
session,
us,
I'll go get mine.
I mean, I have the other one, that's why, nothing has changed since the
Small
last one.
Small map.
You know, when she handed out.
How many you were
the over
gaining?
last month.
How many you were gaining, how many you were losing?
Well, oh, there, it's right there, it says that, 92, that. It tells you right there.
Yeah.
Take away.
So District 3 is the only one that is within range. The rest of them need to be adjusted.
Where's Wicker Point in this map?
You can probably more easily point to that than I can, Amanda. Wicker Point on the map.
Oh,
Going
wait,
down.
I found it, it's in the bottom.
Okay.
Yes.
There it is.
They're trying to hide it.
Okay, well, you all, we would like to get our decision made, at least by our last meeting in March or first meeting in April. What do we decide on? By our first
You had
meeting,
said you wanted it by April.
yeah, first meeting in April, when we would propose to vote on this. So if you all will continue to look at that map so we can figure out, if we're where we need to be, or if there's any revisions you all would like in the proposed revision. We have a revision that was proposed by our city employees, and if you all want to change that, we can. So if you all look at that, we will be ready to vote on that, though, hopefully our first meeting in April. Any other questions? Any other comments? Now we're gonna have the community development update by Amanda Thomas.
You all had packets there, a little bit more than usual. And,
Casey was just down here working on them a while ago and everything was working.
It's working.
Oh, there's
I think
Casey.
it might be working with something.
Oh, I don't know, these are on.
Right.
I don't have it.
So what you've got is the very first one, Onyx Land and Licensing, that's the PLL digital platform. I've got here that we're 85 to 90% complete. We're looking at approximately 60,000 left, excluding the floodplain process, that I'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit. And that implementation will come later after we go live with this. Caroline is gonna do a presentation. Can you bring hers up? Yeah. She's going to give you all an overview quick overview of what her and Jerry have been working on so far in flood.
I don't have it.
It's wrong, Bernie's thing in that line.
I sent it to your email. Do you have your email on there? Oh.
Under her,
small guy was missing.
well, we're on the line, so we can't.
Just explain it to us.
Okay.
Or you can email us that presentation and we'll look at it.
Okay, sure. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about first is,
It's gonna follow.
oh, God. Nope, that's not good. Okay. I have this that I'll send you guys. I just wanted to explain to y'all that we are so close. We are so close to having this live. It is now live as of this past, well, a week ago today. It's live internally for permitting. Land development has been live for some time. We've been working with finance. We were trying to get a payment platform for everyone to be able to fill out these applications, submit everything, and pay. So, especially for people who are doing commercial projects, or if they don't live here, they don't have to make a special trip here. So, I wanted to just briefly explain to you what we have going on with PLL for the permitting side of things. There are three main categories. There's land development, permitting, and then trade permitting. Your land development is going to be anything that has to be reviewed by our development committee, our planning commission, zoning board of adjustment, or the historic preservation commission. So any kind of rezone, you want to consolidate, subdivide, any of that kind of stuff. If you have a civil set of plans that you're trying to do for commercial, all of that will be done through land development. I do want to let you know, especially like engineers, contractors, that kind of stuff, they're gonna have 5, 10, 15 projects at a time. You never know, depending on how busy they are. But once you create an account, you can log in and it will show you all of your projects right there on the screen. So you don't have a different account for every project. You have your one login and you can access all of your projects from that main screen. As well as whoever the applicant is, you would be able to add any additional people. If you're the developer, you have your information, your engineers, your contractors, your property owner, all of these people have access to the same things. So to go over towards the permitting side, which is the new side, I think y'all have been, fairly kept up to date with the land development. Permitting, you will do all residential, commercial, grease trap, driveway, right-of-way, any kind of zoning, anything that you would ever possibly need for permitting will be done through here. They're separated out into two types for permitting. There's residential and commercial that involves building, and then there's permitting for just trades. Therefore, if you have a water leak or if you have a tree fall, you don't have to create an entire case. You just do your specialized trade permit. The best part about this, and we've been preaching this from the beginning, is transparency as well as accountability. These guys can log in and see exactly what stage they're at and what the status is of their case. The workflow that you'll see once I email this to you guys, you'll be able to see from land development all the way through getting your CO. So if you have a subdivide or rezone, you review your civil plans, you start your permitting, you start inspections, utility connections, and even with that, you apply for your utility services. Our utility department heads have the opportunity to look at them, the digital plans on there, and move forward from that. If you log in as an applicant or whatever your role is in this project, you'll be able to see, okay, this person reviewed at this time, either approved, denied, resubmit, whatever the case may be.
anytime that there is a decision or, a tax that is answered, the applicant and all of the other individuals on the case receive a text message and an email notification. I think over time, you'll be able to see that this is gonna create a standard. There's gonna be a little bit of growing pain in the beginning, but I promise you that this will be better. It'll be easier for them, it'll be easier for us to track. For example, there will be project codes. Mr. Kill, I'm gonna go back to Wicker Point. There is a project code already created for Wicker Point and the Heritage. Any kind of utility service lines, those will be sent to that individual department. They can put in their labor costs, their material costs, what we've earned in permitting, what we've earned in business license, and that is as far down as individual licenses for trade for a house. So you can get a full picture of each project that way. And you guys as a council will have something similar to this, where you can, I know this is probably hard for you to see, but you'll have a data sheet where you can see the number of applications that are active, the number have been closed, what percent are residential, commercial, land development, whatever. You'll be able to see all of that at any time. So I will send this over to you guys. I know this was kind of hard for you to understand not having this, but if you ever have any questions, any concerns, my door is always open. Feel free to call me, email me, whatever. You have any questions now? Nope. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item is the floodplain. The draft has been sent to Adeka. Jay, a building official, and I attended their class with the FEMA instructors there and the Adeka instructors. Very good class. And I've got in here that the floodplain management ordinance is encouraged to be adopted by each community to minimize the risk of damages by flood. It's closely related to land use and zoning, and I get that from the ordinance guide and the guide for the zoning. If this ordinance is not adopted, our citizens will not be able to participate in the flood insurance and things like that. FEMA has stated to us that they will be doing audits and they are doing outreach. They at some point will be coming to us. And they'll be looking at what we've done and what we haven't done. So we've already started, Caroline and I have already started preparing for that, and we started pulling everything that we've got, documentation wise and things like that, to get ready to implement when that does happen. The 2024 condemnation project. We sat down with Larkin last week. We come up with a study process. We sent 33 properties to him for his abstractor to review for title search. So before we even send out, well, based on the process of the International Property Maintenance Code, we have to send a notice to every party that's involved with that. So with the mortgage company, the person living there, however it goes. We're going to do a title search on all those. We'll get those back. We'll send those notices out, and we will bring those to you at a later date. You are required to have a public hearing. Council is required to vote whether to move forward with the condemnation per property. Then, say that you all do vote and say, hey, we can put it to get a contractor in here to do that. Then we have to come back to you all, and you'll have to fix the liens against the property, so we move forward with that. Keep in mind, this money is set aside in the budget, but at a later date, we will get that back through the lien on the property, through the Revenue Commission and probate office. It just makes this not immediate. Comprehensive plan, our last meeting, there was 45 attendees. We will meet again on March the 7th in the council chambers. We're up against the Kiwanis Club, is their state dinners that night. We have started, Caroline started reaching out. I've reached out to CAC. Caroline has reached out to the principal at the high school to see if there's some students that, instead of us trying to guess what they would like to have in our community, where they can say, hey, while I was growing up here, this is what I'd like to have. So give them a chance to speak too, because hopefully we will attract them back to invest here long term. That meeting will be here in the council chamber. The first steering committee meeting went really good. We had that on the 5th. We will have another one the week before spring break in March to kind of follow up from the community meetings. Holiday Inn Express, have you been able to?
No, because it was saved up underneath my stuff and Miranda Romies.
Holiday Inn Express, the original facade, because it falls in the CAP district, the planning commission has approved a new facade based on what Holiday Inn Express, the corporate level, would like to see. We can send that to you all too by email. That way you'll know what the projections of what it's supposed to look like. But the footprint has not changed or anything site-wise. The 2021 downtown water main project, we had a public hearing. Terry came down, Terry Akai came down last week, and we had a couple of public hearings. And he, of course, thankfully, we did get the ARP funds. I've got an article that I can send you about that, and the governor has signed that letter. But right now, what we're looking at is $500,000 CDBG, and then $500,000 for the ARP funds. Based on the resolution that I've gotten from him, and I've gone through and asked more questions, the total match that we would be required to do is $338,224.84. If we do that, it's gotten, well, we've already committed to some of this. I would ask you to approve on March 4th. And that includes engineering and administrative fees. And the engineer we're working with is municipal consultant on that. If you've got any other questions, I'm available anytime. Oh, I do want to say these things. In the packet, going back to the floodplain, in 2005, we adopted an ordinance, and in 2011, we adopted an ordinance. These are the two ordinances, and all we're doing is we're improving these. What we have sent, the draft we have sent to ADECA, we have taken out as much as we can and only kept in what pertains to our community development. So this is just on top, this will be on top of this, but what's in our code right now will change based off of that ordinance. This right here is what we want to do for each development. This is an internal development, downtown waterline, but we would like to do this for private developments, as much information as possible. This is what we would like to put on the website, and we want to link this with you go to our GIS maps and then have a development map and all of this information where you can pull up, you can see what district it's in, and do as much possible information, capital investment, number of jobs created, average hourly wage, funding sources. Because a lot of times the citizens say, hey, why is the city spending money on this? Kind of like sidewalks deal, where it's a grant, we're only paying this portion, but we're getting it. So, and if you see anything on here that you would like us to add, and I always try to track you off, please let me know.
Any questions for Amanda? At this time, we will entertain any other business. Any council members have anything they would like to discuss at this time, or Amanda?
Jason Hart is here with Car Rigs, and he's gonna kind of give y'all a preliminary overview of the audit, and then when we get into the council meeting, it won't take as long, we'll get as much information about it. Get us getting highlights.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got pushed to the back, so maybe we're going to sit the officers in the very back. My name is Jason Hart, I'm with Car Rigs in Ingram, and we wanted to go over, and I guess in the work session, a little more in detail related to the city's 9/30/21 financial statement audit. You know, we're still trying to catch up, so this is a couple of years old, but we want to go over some of the information and allow you a chance to ask any questions that you might have, and maybe in regular meeting, keep it a little more high level. So, you know, really, I don't want to go through this entire document, would be up here all night, but what I do want to do is do like before, hit a few statements in here that I think is very important. So if you'll do this, if you'll turn to page 11, in the bound document, this is just the city's financial statements. And you know, each year we kind of go over where we were with the general fund. And as you know, in prior years, we've been in a pretty big hole in the general fund, and we need to catch that up and replenish the fund balance. The equity in the general fund is very important. And over the past, I don't know how many years, we've run a deficit balance in that fund, and we need to continue to work to increase that. this past year, or in 9/30/21, this is good. We ended out with $330,000 roughly of net income in the general fund. While that's not massive, the good news is it's no longer going negative, which I think is very important. That's got to be increased. Where this really needs to get to, just as a rule of thumb, with any city governments, is you want to have about 90 days of operating expenses in your reserve fund balance. So you see down at the very bottom, you're at a $4.8 million negative deficit, fund balance in your general fund. To get 90 days of operations, if you look back up, you'll see that total expenditure line about 2/3 of the way down. That's about $26.7 million. So to get that 90 days, you would say, well, let's just take 26.7 and divide it by 365. So that roughly works out to be about $73,000 a day. So to run the general fund, which is predominantly the general operations of the city, it's going to take about $73,000 a day to do that. To get 9 months or 90 days worth, that ends up being about $6.6 million. So where we need to get to is from a negative 4.8 million up to a positive 6.6 million before we probably have that fund stabilized where it needs to be. So we still, while we ended better, we still have a long way to go. And I know we've got 22 and 23 coming up, and I hope that continues to go in that same direction. But there's still a sizable hole to fill and climb out of related to the general fund deficit. Now, that's also very important for borrowing money, going forward. And I know that's probably going to have to occur. So that'll be analyzed by, the bond advisors and banks and debt folks, that they're going to look at that. So what they're going to want to see, is a positive fund balance and net income in the general fund going in the right direction. So I think that's one thing I just always want to point out. And again, we've been going down. So for 2021, we stopped and we started going back up. Now, some of that was related to what we also talked about. If you'll flip over to page 15, some of that is still related to subsidizing the general fund using our utility funds. And on page 15, that's the utility funds income statements. And fortunately, that all looks, a little better than the general fund, but historically, we've always made transfers out of these funds to subsidize the general funds, which we really need to get in a situation where we're not having to do that. And that's important because, again, soon or one day, we're going to have to borrow money to upgrade all of these different enterprise funds, and we'll need to keep all of those funds in their respective buckets to make sure that we're getting a good bond rate related to our debt, and to make sure that the city can service the debt related to those different utility funds. And you'll see about 2/3 of the way down, there's a little section total transfers, and that's where all that's occurring. So if you go across, one thing you'll see is, and this happens every year too, the water fund's got to subsidize the sewer fund. So there's a big transfer between those two funds. This year or back in 21, it was about $5.5 million. So again, historically, the water funds had to transfer money to the sewer fund to subsidize that fund. And I know we've talked about rates, and I think there may have been some adjustments going forward, but that's had to occur to really keep the sewer fund going. But then as you go across, you'll also see other transfers out, the electric and gas and even some of the water, and that's going back over to the general fund to help subsidize that. So again, back in 21, we still had somewhat of that process of using money off the utility funds to basically subsidize the running of the city. That, in my opinion, you want the city to run itself really and let these funds run their own. Certainly going forward, that's going to be important for borrowing money for a facility upgrade. So that's kind of what I wanted to mention. I know we can get in a lot of the weeds and government finances, but those are some of the highlights. Again, the good news is we quit digging a hole. The bad news is we've still got a ways to go to fill that bucket back up to where it needs to be. You should have a couple of other documents in front of you too, separate letters. One of those is a management letter. It's got recommendations. Emery's got it. It's got recommendations That's still the same as it's been in prior years, because again, we're still trying to catch up. And I think Romy's full year will be coming up in 22. She started roughly in March of 21, Romy. So a lot of the things she's implemented will be hitting in 22 and 23. So a lot of this letter is a repeat of things you've seen before. And there's another letter that's got some required communications in, which is just different audit things that we have to, communicate with you. And I won't go through all those details, but generally that's where we stand. So, and again, I'll go back over this more on a higher level in the regular council meeting, but thought I wanted to just, get into a little bit more while we're in work session and let you ask any questions that you might have. So with that, I certainly thank Romy and her staff. I always say audit's disruptive, and we appreciate her and all of her staff dealing with us, and we look forward to starting 22 as quickly as we can to continue that catch-up process. So,
Any questions?
all right, thank you very much.
Any other comments or any other business to come from council?
I was gonna give an ARPA update.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll go on my financial
You
report.
can do it now if you want to.
Okay, so I'm gonna get the team to help me again, since they know more about their own projects. You guys are all familiar with the American Rescue Fund and those monies that have to be spent by, I think they extended to 2026. Yeah, so we're well on our way to getting all of those spent, so we shouldn't have to give any of it back. So this is just an expenditure recap of our completed projects, and I will also do the ones that are in progress. SCADA updates at the Adams Water Plant, Mr. Lynn.
Yes, this was to purchase the new computers for the SCADA that.
You gotta come
Speak
up here
up.
to the mic. Sir, you gotta come to the mic.
Okay.
No, we're getting a digital world, somebody listening to you outside of here, so come on.
This was for the computer and the software
You gotta
upgrade.
talk into the mic, sir.
It is on, sir.
It's on now, okay. This is for the computer and the software upgrade for Adams Filter Plant. The SCADA is actually what runs the whole system. So this was the startup from Revere and the VT SCADA software package. Creek Road. We had a emergency sewer main that bust on Creek Road. So we had to set up a temporary bypass and repair that with HDPE pipe. Should get 100-year service out of the pipe. Waterworks software. This is a program that we've implemented from the mayor and Romy. They blessed it. This software will help us predict the current future budget, revenue, and capital streams to fund projects in the future.
Mr. Chris?
So what we did was convert a uniform closet on the third floor to a conference room for anybody who knows how to use it. We're using it for guys to help you qualify and keep up their certifications every time. So it's basically a monitor and computer setup like you see right there. And secondly, we had our 8 regular stations. We had a telemetry system installed outside stuff similar to what water and sewer are using. So parts are interchangeable, so we can monitor our pressures and our fire protection through those regulator stations. And they send out alarms immediately when something wrong.
Mr. Drew?
Sixth Street Park, there was the pipe failure that ran pretty much the length of the parking lot there. It was closed when I got here. I understand it had been closed for a while. Posed a bit of a safety hazard being open. We replaced it, I think it was 72-inch pipe and a junction box.
As you know, since I became fire chief, we took a real proactive community involvement in public health and safety. We started with blue signs. The smoke detectors is another initiative that we're pushing very hard with AED. AED was talking wrong in the mayor, so we was able to get close to 40 within the city and just, certain areas, Parks and Rec, and mainly pushing the police cars. And if you think about the light department's a very dangerous job, so they did it too. But lead stop kits, we also got them for the police department. And, that's about it. You got any questions?
Gordon?
And we also gave a $25,000 donation to the Imagination Station.
Thank you.
IT projects, Mr. Joe.
What we do every year, and what we have been doing for the last 3 years, is the improvement on our computer upgrades. What we're trying to do is get into a cycle where we're about to that point now where we're reaching our 3 to 4 year limit. So each year, as we are upgrading, we purchase basically about 30 computers, so many laptops. In that process, we're weaning out all the older ones. So we just now completed the actually getting rid of Windows 7. So we are now, the last order of the new batch of computers are now implementing Windows 11. So we've got Windows 10 and Windows 11 computers in place. Going forward, those Windows 10 computers that cannot be upgraded to Windows 11, that'll be our next installation process. We're trying to weed those out. So that takes care of the computers. Now the fiber installation, this project was basically running fiber from our facility here all the way out to the Sportplex, all those buildings out there, and also running back and picking up the airport, the new Fire Station 3, and Sugar Creek. And they all come into us here. So with it, by doing that, and in this process too, we had a 911 upgrade, so we were able to leverage basically running 2 data circuits into our facility, providing for the 911 and us, and then we increased our bandwidth to half a gig. So we've got higher speed now for our network need, and hopefully we want to tackle the addition of the other outlying areas down the road. All right, the multi-factor authentication. This is part of the security piece that we have been in the last year implementing different things to better protect ourselves. What this does now is allows multi-factor authentication to every user that connects to a computer on our network. So we're not so much worried about the password anymore. We did at first, before this was implemented, if y'all remember when all that, the unfortunate incident that occurred last January, I stated that our users would no longer be able to implement a password. IT would take over that responsibility. We did up until this. So now I'm not so much worried about whatever the password is because I pick it up on the back end through this multi-factor. It's just like you do with your banking business. You do dual factor authentication. Like the banks, we're doing it here for our employees.
And I just want to make a correction. It did not cost us $393,000.
No.
For the dual factor, that's incorrect. It was only $7,200.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, projects that are in progress. City Works.
Spoke to you earlier about this, and Caroline gave an update. There's another part to this, the budgeted part of the ARPA funds with City Works, because we had an old version, I don't even remember what number it was, very old, and then we needed to do that upgrade. We needed to do it anyways, and then we needed to do it for the POL.
Okay.
clarifiers 1 and 2.
I think that's actually gonna be clarifiers 1 and 3, the small and the big one. We've already completed clarifier number 2, which was a small clarifier. We're in the process, we give them a notice to proceed, we move that date up just for the manufacturing of all the mechanisms that it takes to build the small clarifier and the large clarifier. We need to approach this, project a little different than just a small one. We've got to take half of our wastewater plant offline to upgrade this, so it's gonna be a little tasky, but that pretty much.
I think when all this started, we had a facility that uses 4 and only 1 was actually operational, so we're doing really well in making it whole. Our kiosk, Mayor, or you want to talk on it?
We have a utility kiosk, and I think y'all probably remember that. It took quite a while, it took almost a year to get the software done so that the kiosk software could speak to Springbrook. We've got that done. The installation has started right now. It's, you'll notice the hole out and they've started, into the backside of the utility department. That's where the kiosk is going. And, once we do that, it will allow the citizens to pay their utility bills and their municipal tickets at the kiosk after hours or on weekends. So it'll be an added service to the citizens.
And the last thing that we're gonna work on is the Springbrook merge. Our financial software is now in 2 parts. We have the utility side and the financial side. This will merge the 2 together, so, all utility payments will be in real time into the, general fund software. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or any other business to come before council, from council members or me? All right, seeing none, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right, we'll be back at 5:30 for the next session.
Thank you.
I'm returning.